Welcome back. Let's get the latest transfer news now, with Newcastle overhauling their midfield heading into the new season. As you can see, Dharmesh Chef joins me now. Dharmesh, everyone's talking about Bruno Guimares being linked with that move to Arsenal. I suppose the question is, are Newcastle prepared to let him go?
In a word, no. Their stance has not changed throughout this transfer window. He is not for sale. They will not welcome any bids. However, it's been confirmed to us that the captain of Newcastle United, Bruno Guimares, would welcome a move to Arsenal if Arsenal made a bid that was acceptable to Newcastle United. Listen, there's been no club-to-club contact, as far as we are aware, between Arsenal and Newcastle United over Bruno Guimares. However, we do understand that Arsenal have explored the conditions of a deal via intermediaries. Listen, Newcastle United are not under any pressure here, simply because he's got a contract until 2028. They've got a one-year option on that contract into 2029 as well. But we know sometimes how these things work. If a player makes it clear he wants to go, then sometimes a move can materialise. However, it should be said here, we don't think that Bruno Guimares is forcing it in any way. He's very respectful of Newcastle United, and it's only if Arsenal put up a bid that they may think we might not be able to refuse this deal. But as it stands at the moment, there has been no club-to-club contact, no bid, and Newcastle United simply are not welcoming any bids. As far as Arsenal are concerned, if I take you back to the Champions League final, when they lost to PSG in Budapest, Mikel Arteta's news conference after that, he basically said, I want to evolve this team. And he wants these transfers and Arsenal's transfer business to be done quickly and efficiently. And I think there's going to be a few ins and outs. If we just look at the midfield scenario at the moment, Christian Norgard, since joining from Brentford, has barely played. He could be a player who could be on his way out. You've got the likes of Leandro Trossard. We understand that there's been a deal agreed with Besiktas. Ethan Nwaneri, who was on loan at Marseille last season. What kind of future is he going to have? Because he looks like he's down the pecking order there at Arsenal at the moment. So there are a number of players in there that may have question marks over their future at the Emirates. And, of course, Arsenal are looking at players to bring in to successfully, in their mind, defend that Premier League trophy. Yeah,
so question marks over the future of Bruno Guimares. What about incomings at Newcastle? Because a big deal for another exciting central midfielder.
So whenever Newcastle United are interested in a player, I think their fans now are quite wary about where that particular deal is going to end up, because they have been burnt this summer's transfer window and last summer as well. But the player in question is a player who has been impressing during the World Cup for Switzerland, Yohan Makambi. We understand that a verbal agreement is in place, or the framework of a deal is in place between Newcastle United and Freiburg, worth around £49 million. Personal terms not expected to be a problem. The player himself, though, does not want to deal with any kind of transfers until Switzerland's participation in the World Cup is over. And they've got the small matter of a World Cup quarter-final against Argentina in the early hours of Sunday morning. The reason I'm saying that Newcastle United and their fans will remain cautious is, in this transfer window, they thought they'd signed Victor Munoz, only for Liverpool to nip in the last minute and sign the player himself. And if you look back to last summer, they were going for Benjamin Sesko, they were going for Hugo Ekitike as well. They didn't end up at St James's Park. Sesko ended up at Manchester United, Ekitike at Liverpool.
OK, elsewhere, Dharmesh, what about Manchester United, looking to be busy this summer? Yes,
and we've been saying it throughout this transfer window. Midfield seems to be the priority. They could sign 2, maybe even 3 central midfielders. We do know that Casemiro has left the club. Manuel Ugarte, who we understand they would have listened to offers for, well, he suffered a really bad knee injury playing for Uruguay, so he could be out for the best part of a year, so he's not going to be going anywhere, and he's not going to be playing for Manchester United in that time, clearly because of that injury. But United are making moves in that central midfield area. Andre Santos is on the verge of joining from Chelsea. That deal is agreed. £48 million initial payment, £2 million performance-related add-ons, so a deal worth £50 million. He's been having a medical during this week, and so we expect that one to be completed sooner rather than later. Another player who's been having a medical as well is Ederson. that is ongoing at the moment when we understand that there's still a bit of work to do before that £38 million move from Atalanta to Manchester United is confirmed. It doesn't end there because they're looking at other players as well. Real Madrid's Aurelien Tchouameni, Bournemouth's Alex Scott and Lille's Morocco international midfielder Ayoub Bouadi, who has impressed everyone, 18 years old, at this World Cup. And I think at the moment, the one bit of news that we do have is that Aurelien Tchouameni is still wanted by Jose Mourinho at Real Madrid, and he's expected to sign a new contract. But Andre Santos on his way, Ederson pending, and there could be yet another midfielder coming in at United as well.
Now, it's already been a busy summer for one of Rafa's former clubs, Newcastle United, with plenty of transfer movement in and out of the club. Let's go live to Newcastle and speak to our reporter, Keith Downey. Keith, great to see you as always. Newcastle fans will want us to start with this, the future of their captain, Bruno Guimares. What can you tell us?
Yeah, James, thanks very much. Welcome to the quayside here at Newcastle, where I have to say every Newcastle fan that I've walked past, that is the one question on their lips. What is happening with Bruno right now? And that is because the news broke just less than 48 hours ago that Bruno Guimares has asked Newcastle about the possibility of leaving the club and exploring a move to Arsenal. Now, the thing that makes this confusing, I think perplexing for Newcastle United, is that they have had no direct contact from Arsenal at all regarding the availability of Bruno Guimares. No contact, no bid, no nothing, but there has been contact made with Newcastle through intermediaries. So, of course, Bruno Guimares has got a super agent working for him right now. My understanding, James, of the situation is that Bruno himself has spoken to the club and indicated that he would be keen to explore a potential move to Arsenal if it were there, but only on the grounds that suited Newcastle. And by that, I mean, if the offer came in and it was low, he would understand Newcastle turning it down. But if the offer was high and it was something that Newcastle felt was acceptable, then I think Bruno Guimares, as I understand it, would be keen to speak to Arsenal and potentially move there. He's at a stage in his career. He's 28. He'll be 29 in a couple of months' time. He wants to win titles. He wants to win trophies. And he's probably looking at it and thinking that's not going to happen here at Newcastle, hence why he would be keen on that move to Arsenal. But as I say, there has to be contact and a concrete bid from Arsenal to Newcastle, and that has not materialised so far. This
set to be a brilliant atmosphere, of course, in Miami, but if you want to be at the game, it will set you back quite a bit, as Kaveh Solokol can explain.
England will have a lot of support in the Miami Stadium. We're expecting up to 30,000 England fans in the 65,000 capacity stadium. Obviously, there'll be a lot of Norway fans there as well. If you fancy a last-minute trip to Miami, there are still some tickets available on FIFA's official ticketing website. The only problem is the cheapest ticket I could find was £3,000 and the most expensive £4,000. You could also try your luck on FIFA's official resale platform. The cheapest ticket there today was £1,500. The most expensive one, an incredible $1.1 million. That is £832,000. Now, I know FIFA's ticketing policy at this World Cup has been hugely controversial, but FIFA have released some figures which they say proves that they have been right all along with their ticketing policy, because they say more than 6.2 million people have attended games at this World Cup so far. They say the average attendance at games has been 65,000. And they also say that nearly all the games have been totally sold out. According to FIFA, the occupancy rate at the games has been 99.7%.
Thank you, Kaveh. Dave is still with me now to look ahead to tonight's quarter-final, 8 p.m. in LA. It is Spain against Belgium. Now, Spain will clearly be the favourites, but is that doing Belgium a bit of a disservice, particularly after their last game? Fantastic win against the US, who were going great guns themselves.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not too sure lots of people have been overly impressed with Belgium in this tournament. But you have to say it was a convincing victory against the United States, and they looked very good in that victory. Now, the off-field stuff in the build-up to that game against the United States, maybe that did play a part. The frustration at the following Balogun red card being suspended, and so he was able to play. That seemed to galvanise that Belgium squad. Can they use that as fuel once again to continue them on through this journey at the World Cup? I think you're right insofar as Spain will be the favourites. But you have to say, I'm not sure they've completely hit their top gear just yet. Now, that could be, A, worrying for everybody else, but B, it could also mean a slight concern. Are they going to be able to get there? I think Spain, without Nico Williams for much of this tournament, they look slightly different on the left-hand side. And Lamine Yamal came into this tournament with injury concerns, and he's still trying to get himself going. And it took them until the 90th minute, didn't it, to get that winner against Portugal in the last round. Mikel Merino came off the bench. Arsenal fans know all about the importance of his goals for them, and he's doing the same for Spain. So they do have options later in the game should it remain close in the form of Mikel Merino. So Spain as well, defensively, you have to say, looking really good on a run of 6 successive clean sheets in World Cup matches. So they look really good defensively. You just wonder whether a centre-back partnership of Aymeric Laporte and Pau Kubasi, are they physically going to be able to handle Belgium? Maybe that yes to Charles de Ketelaere if he starts, but if Romelu Lukaku comes off the bench, he is a different kettle of fish to try and defend against. And for Lukaku, he has scored, I think, off the bench for the last couple of games. Yeah. So he's in red-hot form. So if he's required from the bench, I think that's a different player.
He won't start there, will he? Because de Ketelaere scored a couple in the previous game.
I wouldn't have thought so. And also Lukaku has been injured as well, and he's coming trying to get back to fitness. And de Ketelaere, he's kind of he plays number 9, but he's not really a number 9. He likes to drop deep and get involved in the play. A little bit like Nick Voltemade, because he's I think he's 6'5", de Ketelaere, so he's got the big frame. So everyone thinks, he's the target man up front, but he likes to drop deep and link the play and get involved. So you would think he would start because he scored twice, didn't he, against the USA. Lukaku scored the last 3 games all from the bench. So they've got plenty of options up front. Should be an interesting one. No fresh injury concerns for Spain. Belgium, though, they will have to replace Amadou Onana in their starting 11. He suffered that ACL injury against the United States.
What are you expecting from this game? I mean, Spain, Portugal they cancelled each other out, really, didn't they? Are you expecting a bit more of an open game today or something similar?
I think it depends how Belgium wants to approach things, because if they want to sit in and try and make it a close and cagey game, I can see it being another tight one, because they can defend very well, Belgium.